Welcome to the Let Them Live podcast with Emily Burning, a place for meaningful conversations, real stories, and a shared mission to protect life. Hey everyone, welcome back. I should have adjusted my microphone. Welcome back to another episode of the Let Them Live podcast. It's good to be back. I think this is probably the second podcast I'm recording this year. Don't know when it's going to be released, but it's really good to be back. I love getting to talk to everyone just about different aspects of the pro-life movement, about abortion. You know, we've had women on who are post-abortive. We've had people on from all different walks of life. And I'm really excited today to have India Paulino. We have been, Instagram friends for years and years. She's really amazing. She has built an amazing following on Instagram. She is like the fitness lady. I mean, when I see her pictures, I'm like, okay, I'm jealous. Like I need some help. So she is just really amazing because she's also so vocal about her views. Like it's honestly it's really cool because I think today in 2025 it's so discouraging because it seems like anyone who has a following on social media, anyone who is, got celebrity status or whatever, they're all pro-choice. They're all like, yeah, abortion is great. They're supporting Planned Parenthood. So it's so refreshing to finally have people that are, I mean, but you've been doing this for years, India. So, but to have people kind of following that. So I'm really excited to have this conversation today. I hope you guys love it. I think you're going to love India. She's just really amazing. So I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to unmute you. So thank you so much for being here and taking the time.
Thank you so much for that intro. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I'm like, you guys need to go check out her Instagram. It's honestly so amazing and it's so inspiring because you're a beautiful woman. You're a woman who exudes just like strength and empowerment and true femininity, which I think is really lost in 2025. Hopefully we're coming back, but I really think that you are someone that so many people can look up to. So yeah, why don't you share a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into the abortion stuff because that's the good stuff.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for everything that you said. I think you are amazing. I mean, what you do is so hard, but you do it. And I think that that's what's important, especially like you said in 2025. I feel I really have high hopes where for maybe we're going to stop being so sensitive about everything and we can actually share our opinions and respect each other. I don't know. Crossing my fingers.
We'll see, right?
But I think it is very important to speak your mind and what's at your core, you know? I mean, you can do it and we're on different sides. I should be able to do it as well. But but so I've been competing professionally in bodybuilding for my gosh, since end of 2010. Um I speak on women empowerment, which I think, which we'll get into how that but
I
uh
love that.
but yeah, I'm a mom to a 7-year-old boy. He's my entire world. I actually right before I got pregnant, I thought I was done with competing. I'm like, I've accomplished everything and more, and I'm so thankful for this. I think I'm done. Like I'm just gonna raise my family and raise my children, um and then I was pregnant, and it's like the whole bodybuilding world was like, what? Because I was like the first person who really like
Mhm.
was competing at a very high level. And most people were like, oh, I don't want kids yet, which is fine, if you want to happen later. But I was like, this is the time. And I was grateful for that blessing. And I don't know, during my pregnancy, which was amazing, I decided, you know what? I'm going to step back on stage.
I
And
love
I didn't know when that was gonna be because for me, it was very important to honor my body throughout the whole process and even after for what it had done. And, I was back on stage at 7 months postpartum. So, like, I don't wanna have a baby because, my body or this and that. This is something that I get a lot, and I'm like, "Girl, have your family, like, our physiques, like, it's never ending. You're gonna be able to." I feel like I looked better,
Mhm.
honestly. But yeah, so
That's
that's
amazing. I love what you said. I've had this happen where I was counseling women and a couple times they're like, "Well, my body's going to change and I don't want to have my body change." And so, gosh, you are the perfect example of someone that's, with your body, but then also your career. It's like there doesn't have to be like pregnancy and creating life does not have to be conflicting with your goals and your dreams, and your body. And I think it's so sad when women do have abortions specifically for that reason, that they don't want their body to be destroyed. Because I mean, look, we're all gonna age, we're all gonna get all wrinkly and saggy and old someday. So it's gonna happen. But when this baby is already here, when you're pregnant, that's just not a reason to take a life. So you're just the perfect example of someone who has balanced that, and has shown that, which is amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I was so happy to see all of these athletes becoming pregnant and then going back on stage, and you don't have to go back on stage if you don't want to, that's okay, but I love the message that that sends, I can go through a pregnancy and be completely present in my pregnancy and in my life, and I can also do these things for myself, which I think are important to begin with, because I think, and that's a whole other conversation, just motherhood and giving to
Yeah.
ourselves and all that, but, um I love that example, and I love the thought process, and I think it's perception, and I think there's society puts too much, um, what would the word like, just maybe emphasis on just, "Okay, you have to," or what the ideal
Mm,
beauty, body
standards. Yeah.
standards. I'm sorry, my Spanish gets in the way.
No, you're good. You can do some Spanglish, we're good. I mean
Language. But yeah, what? So, and then it's like social media. It's a blessing and a curse. I really think there's
Yes.
too much good that has been accomplished through social media, but then there's also that dark side, as with anything. And this is where just having that foundation and really working on loving ourselves and healing past trauma, self-limiting beliefs, all of that is only going to make us stronger. Um, Believing in ourselves, 'cause, like, that's the core, we believe in ourselves, we believe we can do anything, so nobody can tell us, "No, you need to do this," or "This is what it's gonna be like," type thing.
Yeah. And our culture is so good at that, at telling women like this is what it needs to look like. And, well, if you're pregnant, then you can't, get your degree. You can't have your dream job. You can't. And eventually that is like, since that's seriously degrading to women, because if you're just hearing that over and over again, you're going to feel like your baby is the enemy. And I don't even know how we got here as a culture, you know?
But I think, that going back to, just the root and healing ourselves from all of the things that we've experienced that have
Mhm.
affected us negatively, because again, if we feel strong, if we do believe in ourselves, if we do have that love and respect and value, it's going to be harder for somebody else to come in and change your mind on
Mm,
what's valuable and what's not. So again, I don't know. It's sad, but I think there is a big
yeah,
disconnect um with ourselves and then also just a higher power, So
yeah,
it, it's
yeah.
it's sad, but I'm really hoping for change with that.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I think there is, like we saw in the Olympics last year, there was tons of stories about women who were pregnant while they were running, or, like all these different stories. And I think it's, I mean, like just in general, I feel like conservatism, being a conservative is coming back in style, which it's like, okay, finally, it's just common sense, right? And I think abortion falls within that, like, being pro life falls within that common sense range. So now all of a sudden it's becoming cool again. So I have hope too, that, moving forward, people are going to like, we're bashing those stereotypes. And I feel like you are, India, of like what a pro life person looks like, because, we're not these like nuns in habits that are nothing wrong with nuns and habits. We love you. But we're breaking the stereotype that you don't have to be a certain type of person or believe a certain thing to know that like abortion's wrong.
Right. Yeah, and that we are on it's like they're so passionate, they're so passionate about protecting women's rights or women in general. We're so passionate about protecting women. And I think it's that, okay, so we're both thinking it's the same thing, but what is actually hurting the
Yeah.
woman, you know? Um, and really just, I would love to be able to just have more open conversations. But I think you're right. I do feel the shift where there's a little bit more tolerance, I guess, between, well, like pro-choice people actually listening to people who are pro-life and things like that. And and also just politics in general. So that is good. And I'm hoping for more of that for sure.
Yeah. Imagine that, people listening respectfully to other people who have, differing opinions. Like, what a wild concept in 2025. It's crazy. Nathan and I, we woke up really early this morning and I felt like we were like an old married couple because we turned on the news and we're sitting in bed and, talking about politics. But really, we're like, where along the way did we lose the ability to have conversations, specifically about the hot topic issues, like abortion, and find some common ground. And I get it, it's a really hot issue. I mean, it's probably the biggest one because it gets to the core of like moral and ethical discussions. So and that's something I appreciated. Like I mentioned, I was listening to your podcast you did like 6 years ago. And I just loved, you were just like throwing it out there, all the reasons that abortion doesn't make sense. And I will obviously love to talk about that, but I want to know, like, when have you always been pro-life, or like when did that come up for you, slash when did you start sharing that like publicly, and were you scared, all the stuff?
Yes. So I remember exactly when I had that just moment of, oh my goodness. Like I get chills, honestly, just even
Yeah.
remembering it. So it was, I remember I was standing in my kitchen talking to my fiance, and he mentioned New York passing that bill. It was the RHA bill. And where 24 weeks and more, um, babies were being aborted. You were able to abort late term abortions, essentially, right? And I I don't know. I remember he told me, I'm like, what? Like, and it's not that I wasn't aware of abortion before, but I don't know. That really just like froze
Yeah.
me. Like I didn't know. It was such a weird feeling, and it literally took over like whole body. And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And we spoke about it, and I remember it took me a day or so to just process. Like, wait, like what? Why is this even? Why are we even? Who would be against this, or who would be? I'm sorry, for this.
For it, yeah.
I was so confused. It was all of these things at once, and yes, you're right. It's in fitness. Your page, your Instagram page, or your social media is about fitness. Like nobody gets into, or at least did back then, got into politics at all. Like, I mean, no, right? Or something so controversial that I wish wasn't. And but I knew, I was like, okay, I was like, I I don't know that I'm one person, change or whatever. What changes I'll make, I have to say something. Like, this is not okay. Like, how is this okay?
Mhm.
And so I did. I posted, and yes, I was nervous. I'm like, oh, here we go. But it was more because also just like the whole back and forth, and it was like Republicans and Democrats and Republicans, and just couldn't agree on anything. But this is what really made me start paying attention. Um, and so I did. And who that was that, let me tell you, it was very difficult. And I'm a
Yeah.
person that have very thick skin. I can handle a lot. I've been through so much, but that hurt. That physically, like it, even my fiance was like, "Are you okay?" Because this went on. And it was like, you know, how are you? You speak about women empowerment, and you go and speak on a stage about this, and women can do this, and women are, yet you're pro-life. I'm like, yeah. Like,
You're
I
like, "Yeah,
that
duh."
would be common sense. Yes, exactly why I'm So a lot of that, I mean, I had so many people unfollow, like, "I'm unfollowing you, this is" I didn't care. I mean, it was so many, don't care. I'm like, "Good, get out,
I
bye."
love that. I love that so much. You're like, "Bye."
I was like, "You don't have to tell, like, just go, I don't care." And
Wow.
literally, very noticeable, like, it just went down,
Yeah.
and, and it wasn't even just like that. That's all, like, surface level stuff. "Okay, you don't
Mm.
I'm gonna follow you. I don't care. Goodbye." It was the personal attacks on, like, "I hope you
Yeah.
get raped. I hope if you have a daughter that she gets raped and see" and it's just like, that's just evil. Like,
Yeah.
listen, I don't you know?
Yeah. No, I know. There's no words. Like, I've had people say that to me too, and I'm like, "That is disgusting." Like, how can you actually wish that on someone just so that you hope that they see that abortion, killing children in the womb and hurting women is okay? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me, and that hurts. It hurts when the personal attacks come, you know? And like you said, like, thick skin, you can take a lot, but abortion's one of those things where once you see it for what it really is, um, you can't take that back, and that's probably, like, the toughest thing about being pro-life slash, like, doing work in this movement is, like, my life is never gonna be the same, and there are times where, you know, we're like, "I wish it could be. I wish I could just live in blissful ignorance and live in this, like, happy little bubble where, you know, people don't think it's okay to kill other people." But that's just not reality, you know? So I completely understand what you're saying when it's like, yeah, once you what is it in the Matrix? It's like getting red pilled or whatever. Like once you like uncover it, you can't cover it back up. And then you have that responsibility to say something. And I just like major props to you because I can't tell you how many times I've personally experienced people who have come to let them live and then they kind of backed out. They're like, "No, we don't actually want to say anything. Oh, we don't want to do anything. We're scared of our platform, you know, going down or people not liking us and all this stuff." And I just have it just makes me have just even more mad respect for people like you, India, because you have to say something. This is a human rights crisis, you know?
It's bad. It's I don't know. What's interesting too is that so that happened and there were people who with certain organizations that I was affiliated with, they had no idea that they had the same values and just perspective as I do when it comes to abortion. Yet they're not unfollowing them because they want something from them. You know what I mean? It's like I'm like, so what is this actually about? Because if you feel so strongly about this, you'd be unfollowing everybody, and you wouldn't be, associating yourself and but
Mm,
it's not. I think like you said, if they actually knew
yeah.
what it entails instead of just going off of, well, I want to belong in a group because that's another thing when we're talking about healing and stuff. It's like you don't know who you are at your core. You're not connected to yourself. Yes, you're going to be easily swayed and be easily persuaded and just go that way, even though you're not exactly sure why you're even going a certain way. You haven't researched, you don't care to research, you block it because they make you
Mm,
feel like you're part of a group or something. So
mm,
I think it goes back to like just our own personal development journey.
mm.
Uh, I had this made me so happy. Later, and I told her. So there's this girl that I love to death, like love her. And when we met through her mom, and she was like early. No, she had turned. I don't know. She was like it was like 5, 6 years ago, 7 maybe. And I remember we would try to talk to her about the whole pro-life movement and just politics in general and something like I felt like her views and everything were more conservative.
Mm.
Yeah, she was hardcore. I'm this way, blah blah blah, like just the people around her and everything. And she reached out to me a couple weeks ago and she says, "Oh my God, India, you were so right about" and she remembered this conversation and she's like,
Wow.
I am more, my values do align more with conservatives than, liberals." She goes, "My God, these liberals are just," she's like, "delusional." And I'm like, "Wait, what are you saying?" Yeah, I couldn't believe, that. And she came to this realization by herself. I mean, she lives in a very liberal
Yeah.
city, no family or anything. And the fact that she catch that, right? We plant
Mhm.
these and
Plant the seeds.
she started researching, seeing for herself, because I don't push people, but I do like to plant
Yeah.
seeds sometimes, and I'm just so proud of her for just having her own mind, despite
Yes.
and especially being so young, she's only 25. She just
Yep.
turned
That's
so
huge. That's huge. That's something I've always been a huge proponent of is just having your own opinion, especially when it comes to abortion. I mean, when I was in college, um, it was wild to me how many people couldn't tell me what abortion was. They couldn't tell me like what, was involved in that or the consequences of it or anything. But then they were like, yeah, I support it. I'm like, you're not thinking for yourself. So at the end of the day, if you're telling me that you support abortion and you've seen one, you've researched it, like that's a whole other problem. But the majority of people are just saying that because that's kind of the flow of the culture. And oh my gosh, it's like you are totally going to be canceled if you're pro-life. How dare you support women and not just, go to abortion as a solution. I mean, that's what has been boggling my mind. And I think you did talk about this in your podcast episode, but it's like w- we have got to have more creative solutions than abortion to these underlying problems. Like there are socioeconomic problems. That's a fact, right? There are different underlying problems, but are we seriously saying that in a civilized society that abortion is the best thing that we can come up with? Like it's mind-blowing. So it's yeah, I don't know. It always just blows my mind, um, how how callous our society has become towards women, towards the unborn, especially because they're human from the very beginning. And that's something you talked about, and I'd love to hear you talk about that as well. Like, in order for us to get here today, we had to be that little tiny like clump of cells, that people say we were. So,
well, I think, that's the first thing to do is to kind of disassociate from it and not connect to it. Because once you connect to it, once you understand, once you know, my gosh, how can you say kill this? And I hate using the word, but that's what it is. And I think that you need to say it that way. It's bluntly, it's like abortion, yeah, killing a baby, like that's what it is. And when you say it like that, some people just get triggered. And it's like, well,
yeah.
I'm gonna soften it up and no, this is what it is. And you need to understand 100% like how crazy and severe and evil this is. And
Mhm.
um, but I don't know. I think that again, and I always go back to this. It's like
I love
it
it.
it's sad that society, like there's so much distraction around us. And again, why it's so important for us to take time by ourselves and
Mm,
to pray if you're religious and meditate or something, but like connect with you, connect with God,
mhm,
because when you don't, it's almost like you're just floating around and
mhm.
attaching to any little thing, and it's not always good. And then
Yeah.
there's what's gonna reel you back in. I understand that there are people in really terrible situations at home and bad families and abusive families, relationships. And it's like, so who do they turn to? It's easy to continue to go on a dark path
Yep.
versus light because there's that sense of like, well, I don't deserve that or something. But
Yes.
there's just so much, but also what's this with it's a baby if the mother plans it or wants the child, but
Oh my
it's
gosh.
with cells or whatever,
Yeah.
not a baby, if they're unsure or they don't think they can handle it.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't be basing humanity on something so fickle as just people's, like, feelings, because if that's the case, it's like, well, if a baby's wanted, then that baby's gonna be protected, that baby's gonna be, given a baby shower and all this stuff, but if the baby's not wanted, like, sorry, I guess your life is gonna be, ended, and, like you said, I think it is rooted in how we see ourselves and how like our identity. When I was in college, oh my gosh, I had the lowest self-esteem, and I was, like you said, just floating
Yeah.
around. And the worst things were grabbing me and pulling me in. Like, I made some of the worst mistakes. Like,
Mm.
obviously that's for another time, but when you are anchored and you're anchored in your identity, my identity is um who like who does Christ say that I am, right? I'm beloved, I'm chosen, I'm beautiful, like all these things. Um then we're less likely to just move around and sway and be attracted to all these worldly things that can come up. And unfortunately, the lie that's been sold to us by the abortion industry is that abortion is this quick fix, right?
Mm.
It's no big deal. Like, what are some of the other lies that you've heard that are just like totally ridiculous about abortion?
Well, I think that's probably the one of the deepest ones, and I say that because it's like, "Oh, come in 20 minutes, you're in and out, you can go on and have the rest of your day," and it's like, first of all, when you do that, that's affecting your body in general, right? So with
Mhm.
you through your head or heart don't wanna feel it, your body is feeling it. Um, and what happens, I don't know, everybody's different. A week, a year, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. When you're in a better place or something happens that makes you realize, "Oh my gosh, what did I do?" What happens? I think another lie is that women are happier, that makes women
Mhm.
happy because now they can have their career or that. And I'm like, why are we not talking about the substance abuse, the depression rate, the suicide rate? Why are we not talking about how abortion hurts women? Because, you know, we, well, you have people who tell women basically, I'm going to make up a word right
You're
now.
good.
What the word is, but it's the opposite of like empowering women
Oh,
because
yeah.
oh, to them it's empowering. Oh, you want to go to school? Then how are you going to do that with a baby? Just get an
Yeah.
abortion and you can focus on school. And you're going to be so successful. You're going to go do this. You're too young. You can't, and all these things. But it's like, if you're empowerment means uplifting women. So instead of lying to them and telling them that they're not worth anything, they're not strong enough to handle it, they're not smart enough to figure it out, they don't deserve the support, and they don't deserve that child, why are we telling them the truth and saying, you are strong, you are a woman, you were made for this, you can figure it out. And if your family and friends aren't there, you don't have any, you don't have that support, there are amazing organizations like Let Them Live who will help you financially. Because I think isn't it like 73%
Yep,
of reasons for abortion is
yep,
financial? And so organizations like yours and others who help women, so at least that part is there's less stress with that, right?
yep,
Are amazing. So tell them the truth. Tell them what resources are available to them instead of abortion, move on with their
yep.
life. How
Just
about
have that abortion. It's crazy. It's crazy to me too. I started saying this, and I don't know if it's considered controversial at all or anything, but I think it's true. A majority of abortions, I say, are coerced abortions because, in my opinion, if you're doing something, not because you actually want to, um, but you're doing it because you feel like you have no other choice, whether that's because of finances, because someone else is pressuring you to do it, you are in an unsafe situation, whatever it may be, that's coercion. So that's something I say all the time, is that majority of abortions are coerced abortions. So for me, I'm just always mind blown at the fact that there's people who work in abortion clinics, whether it's abortionists or nurses or front desk staff or whatever. They know this. They know, they're not dumb. um, or just aloof to the reasons why women are in that Planned Parenthood or that abortion clinic in the first place. They know that these women are being sex trafficked. They know they're in a domestic violence situation. They know that their partner is pressuring them and doesn't want to take responsibility and have any responsibility. They know that they're struggling financially, yet they still go through with it. And it blows my mind every time because it makes no sense to me. If we're really pro woman here, abortion should not be the first box that gets checked. It shouldn't be a box that gets checked at all. But at least for people who call themselves pro-choice, like there really needs to be some they really need to look at the situation, because there are, like you said, many organizations, many people that are ready and willing to come alongside these women and help them in any way, in every way. And they don't have to have that abortion. So it really then just kind of makes me think, like, I'm an optimist. I hate to think the worst of people, even the people I disagree with on abortion. Like, I really, I'm trying to keep my faith in humanity. And so, I'm like, well, I just can't imagine, like, people would kill these lives for money, but then I'm like, well, why else? Why else? What else is the incentive to get them through the door, to pump out that abortion pill, like it's candy, it doesn't compute.
Right. It's devastating, really. Just I mean, and that's the part that I was so confused. I'm like, wait, what? Like, you're questioning me being pro woman, like, yet you're literally like, I just you're right. It's a very hard concept to just process because it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. It's
Yeah.
like
It's
very
hard to figure it out, but that's a puzzle that we'll just keep on trying to do. So when you first, obviously the New York, that must have been what, in
19.
2019. Okay, that's when you did this podcast, which is awesome. I love how quick you work. This is something I actually love too, because I had sent or tagged or something a bunch of people, because we're doing the Florida Walk for Life or March for Life, and you were like on it. You were on top of it, and that's just something I love, because enthusiasm is what we need, to keep this movement going. So in 2019 is when you, like, I would say, came out, right? You came out as pro-life, and obviously you lost followers. What is it like today for you? Like, where are you at with your business, with your social media, since being vocal about being pro-life?
I mean, now I think a lot has changed. I think, my view, I'm not in that, like, uh almost where I felt like I was floating, but more or on a different planet, I should say, because of all of the negativity.
Mm,
Uh, like, I'm past that, and I think that that was also really good for me in different ways. I look for different experiences to grow from. Um, I've grown more. I don't care. Like, people know I'm conservative. People know who I vote for. People know my values, and they know. And so if they're there, um, great, and if they're not, or if you whatever not, and it's so easy to just block people. Like, I don't think about it anymore. I don't care. I don't take
that's
what you
awesome.
say with me and carry it through the day. No, it's like choosing your energy and where it's gonna go. Um, I think I feel like there are so many more people that are vocal now, just about their views versus like back then. You're right. It's like
Yeah,
everyone's like super scared. But for me, standing in that kitchen that day, it was like I knew that was a calling, and it's like
yeah.
I need to speak up about it regardless. And I remember like it was so bad. And it was like at night I'd like stay up thinking about it was just overwhelming. It was like messages, the DMs and all
Yeah.
this. And I'd never experienced that before. But I'm like, I don't care. I don't
I love that, because so many people would be like, it's just easier to just keep quiet, not say anything, just kinda maintain the status quo. But if you're someone yeah,
to say
it's
anything.
not easier.
I have to like I'm that type of person that I'm like,
Yep,
okay, I get it. This is freaking horrible. But like
yep,
what's gonna feel worse is me not doing what I feel I'm being called to do.
yep.
But Instagram, of course, completely like just shadow banned. Like my page has not grown. It's actually getting smaller since
Oh.
then. My stuff's not in it, and it's like I've seen people come out of it. No, I'm still in IG jail for that.
Oh
So
my gosh. Okay, well, everyone go follow India first and foremost. But I feel the same way. I'm like a pressure cooker. If I've got an opinion on something, like, I can't hold it in. It's for the best to just let it out. So what would be your encouragement, Well, first, let me just give people, it's just India Paulino. You guys go follow her, give her a follow. Um, and what would be your advice to people who were in a similar position as you were? You know, they've got a following, they've got a business, and they're like, should I speak up? Should I not? What would you say to them?
I would say to sit with themselves and see what feels right for them. Maybe taking slow steps towards it if they really do want to be vocal or support. Um, there's different ways to do it, even if they're not. Hey guys, I'm super pro life. Oh, that blunt or what I want to call it. Maybe do a podcast and, like things like that, like ease into it and put it out there. If they're worried about response or business, I get it. I get the business aspect of it. And there are people that I understand, like they depend on that and they can't risk that. But if it's something that's really calm and they want to, there are other ways to voice it. Or even not on social media. You just maybe post certain on fundraisers or these pro-life organizations that are helping so many women, get in touch with different counselors or just there are so many different ways to help. Um, Post a pro-life page or say something maybe not so controversial, just easing yourself
Yeah.
into that. And if you're just go for it. But it's not, don't feel bad as long as you're doing something that feels right and you feel you're being called to do. Because I do think it's really important to really answer our callings because it's something that is literally going to haunt you later on if you don't
It's
just
so true. It's so true. I just know that because before we started Let Them Live, like, I just had this angst. I'm like, I'm literally afraid of when I die because I'm not gonna have done anything that was purposeful. And yeah, and then when Let Them Live got started, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I have purpose in life." And so it's so worth it. So I love what you said, like, you gotta do something. Everyone's gotta do something. It doesn't have to be the same thing. I mean, if we were all called to do the same thing, that would be an absolute mess. So we're all called to different parts, but everyone can do something, and that's so important. So I love that you said that. I mean, Let Them Live is obviously I'm gonna plug Let Them Live. I think it's a great organization. Um, Um, but there are so many amazing organizations where you can volunteer, you can donate. I mean, gosh, I can't say this enough, people. Like, the pro-life movement needs all your money, okay? So we need to keep saving those babies. And we need to keep supporting women and giving them other options and just having visibility so that they know they have other options. So whatever it is that you do, just just do it, you know? So I really love that. And what would be, this is my last question for you, I guess, but what would be your advice, or like what would you say to moms who are either listening or just out there who are pregnant and they're struggling with like their own identity and just their own like the empowerment like you talked about. What would you say to them?
shut out the noise. And I know that that's really hard to do. Um, but do your best to really connect with yourself and your baby and what feels right to you. Know that it's awful to maybe to not have the support system that ideally you'd want, but there are thousands upon thousands, I can say safely millions of women who are ready to help support you and your child through your pregnancy, whether it's financially, mentally, emotionally. It's like you have a million aunties that are ready to just,
Yes.
love on you and your baby and help you through this magical experience of pregnancy. And um, if it feels wrong, it's wrong. We're moms, like my goodness, like the most intuitive. Like
Yeah.
it is such a beautiful blessing. Motherhood. It's hard, but we don't. I mean, my goodness, I'm blessed, and I'm so grateful for my son. Has it been hard? Yes, motherhood is hard. Would I change that? No way. Never. He is like, I can't even picture my life before him anymore because children are such magical beings of light that they're just so amazing. And you always hear we're parenting we're teaching, but it's actually our children teach us so much more.
Mm,
Um, if we're willing and able and we're open. So, just know that you have the most amazing support system, women and men that love and want to see you both just thrive. So you're
100%. Yeah, I second that. Aunt Emily's here, ready to babysit, ready to help. Like there's so much beauty in motherhood, in women, in just the biological fact that we can like literally grow life inside of us. Like how wild is that? Every single person who's existing today, like we all came from a uterus, Like we all came from the same place for thousands of years since the beginning of time. And so I think that's really beautiful. So thank you for that encouragement, and honestly just for sharing your passion. I we just kind of flowed with it, but was there anything else that I didn't maybe ask that you wanted to share?
no, I loved how we just kind of chatted.
Yeah.
But I want to thank you again just for what you do. I know you've been through a lot. I know, you know, what you do is not easy, and it takes a lot of you emotionally, physically, mentally, but you still keep showing up, you know, for these women and these babies. And I think that that is not that this is your only purpose, 'cause I know that you have multiple purposes, but I think that this is such a beautiful, empowering, just incredible just journey for you and the lives that you have helped save, the lives that are here, um, giggling and running around and playing with little ninja turtles or whatever, and moms that are just like crying because they're so happy because their children are just so beautiful and they're here, and it's a blessing. And they're both able to experience that together because of people like you, because of people who um just stand up for what they believe in, follow that purpose, whether it's hard, easy, no matter what comes,
Yeah.
and yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna say thank you. I
Oh yeah.
appreciate you and I'm so thankful for you.
Of course. Well, just like I'm sure it is with everything that you do, there are days where you just have to like trudge through mud to show up. It's like I'm here barely, but I'm here. So, it's kind of the same thing, and I just have to shout out our whole team. Like there are a lot of staff, volunteers that show up every day to make this possible, and also our donors. I mean, like, man, if we didn't have that fuel to put in our car, you can't go anywhere if you don't have gas in your car. So grateful. It's a team effort, and thank you for supporting us for literally all these years, and just being an advocate, a vocal advocate for the unborn and their mothers. So thank you again, and I know that we'll get to talk again soon, and hopefully we'll see each other soon because we're both in the beautiful sunny state of Florida. So I'm sure we'll get to see each other, and we'll have to do some more conversations because you're just awesome to talk to. So
No, I loved talking to you. Thank you for having me. It was a blast.
absolutely. Well, thank you guys for listening, watching, and yeah, please leave a comment. Let me know, if you liked it, whatever you want to say. Tell me why you're pro-life. I don't know, whatever you want to comment so we can get this thing boosted. But thank you guys again for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Let Them Live podcast with Emily Burning. If you enjoyed this episode, please let us know your thoughts in the comments and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.